Hello everybody, welcome back to Herbie's Garage. Today we're going to be working on my new wheel balance machine, and we're going to be actually balancing a wheel. I have my Lifen KPX250 sitting here, and I removed the front wheel, and I also balanced the wheel on my static balancer, my bubble balancer, or not my bubble balancer, but my motorcycle balancer. I'll show you that here in a minute. We'll go ahead and put it on that balancer, and I'll show you that it's balanced basically. And then we'll put it on the machine, and I'll see if I can figure out how that's going to work and if it's going to balance correctly. We'll do a couple little different things to make sure that the balance is good on it. But these weights that I bought, I'm going to have to get some different weights. I don't know if you can see it in that angle, but it's right there, and it's kind of a brass colored. I don't really like it. I want it to match the spokes on that wheel. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you the balance on the static balancer first. All right, first thing we need to do is remove the bushing out of the hub. And then this is the tapered cone that I'm going to use. And I want to show you it won't fit all the way down into the bearing because of this seal. So we have to remove this seal before we do a balance. And I just use my little pry bar and get in there behind it and just kind of gently pry that seal up. Try not to break the seal, tear it up or anything, because we are going to be reusing it. It's not that big a deal. And now you can see, now you can see that this cone will fit in that hole pretty well. So let's go ahead and mount this on the balancer first, on the static balancer, and I'll show you that first. Okay, the very first thing you need to do is this has a level on it, and you have to make sure that that bubble is dead center on there so that your balancer is going to give you a good balance reading. And it's got two cones on here. I want to go ahead and tighten the first one, and then I'll just set it into the wheel. And then I'll put the other cone up against the hub, against the bearing, and I'll tighten it down. Make sure it's good and tight so it doesn't move. So that's good and tight. And then I'll set it on top of here. And I'll show you whenever I first did this, and before I balanced it, this wheel would roll to where the valve stem was down at the bottom like that, because the valve stem was the heavy part of the wheel. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set this valve stem at the 90-degree position and see if it goes down or comes up. It just barely moves, not very much. So we'll put it straight up 12 o'clock from where it was. And again, it's barely moving. This balance might be off just a little bit. I'm going to let that go. Okay, that's going to need a little more weight, looks like. So I'll get me another. I don't think it's going to take a lot. So it's heavy down at the bottom, so 12 o'clock straight up, which is right about on this spoke. I'm going to put this other weight, and then we'll try it again. Okay, so we'll try it again. We'll see what it does. That's at the bottom. That's 90 degrees. That's right at the top. This is 90 degrees to the other side. All right, that looks like it's perfect balance now. Try it again. There's 90 degrees. It's not moving. There's straight up, not moving. 90 degrees again. And it's not moving, so that's perfectly balanced. So now that we know that this wheel is balanced on the static balance, then we'll take it up on the machine and we'll see how it does. So I'll loosen this up. Take the shaft out of it. And we'll move this out of the way. All right, I've got this thing all set up. Everything's mounted on here. I did this in the last video. So we're going to take some of our cones and spacers, and the small cone, I'm going to put that in first. Then I'll put my wheel on. Try not to put too much pressure on this rod that far out like that. So kind of hold it until you get it in. And then I'll use the other cone, the same one as I put on the other side, and we'll put that in. Make sure that that goes in correctly. And then we'll start loading this up. Figure out what ones we need to fill this gap up. That looks like that'll do pretty good right there. So I'll put these other ones away. I'll take my handle, I'll screw it on. Get it nice and snug. Take this nut. Tighten that down good and snug. Make sure the wheel's good. Feels like it's nice and tight in there. All right, then we'll take these clamps. You got to pull it back first to take the spring pressure off the pin, and then let the pin loose, and then it'll put spring pressure up against the wheel. Like that. So now we should be good and ready to do a balance. All right, first thing I need to do is turn the machine on. Now to do a motorcycle wheel, we're supposed to press F, and then the measurement to the edge of the rim, we take our extension that they give with it, and bring it up to the edge of the rim, and mine's showing 4 inches. So we'll run that down to 4. Now I got to measure the width. Now see, this old gauge caliper they give me, it goes down to 2, maybe 1.5. The new one they gave me goes down to like maybe 3. So for this smaller rim, I'm going to use the one they sent with it. And just measure the width of the rim. It's exactly 2 inches. And I know that the diameter of the wheel is 21 inches. Okay, so now we're ready to spin it. Okay, as you can see right here, hopefully those aren't in the way. Get it out of the way. As you can see, it shows one side and not on the other. So it's you only have one place to put the weight, which is going to be on the spoke. So you got to go by these lines, not this one, not this one. So if I turn the wheel, right there would be where I would attach some weight if I needed to, but it's showing 0. So let me try something. I'm just going to put a piece of tape right there where the wheel weight is. I don't know if it's going to be enough to throw it off. I don't think it will. So I'll know which spoke that it is. Then I'm going to take this weight off. Okay. Now that's the big one. Now the little one, I'm going to take one and put on here as well. And I'll have to put a mark on that so I don't get them mixed up. This is the small, so I'm going to put S on that one and L on this one for large, so I don't get those mixed up. And then I'll take this small weight off. Okay, so I'm going to shut the machine off to clear it out. Or no, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so now I'm going to spin it again and we'll see if that changes and if it lines up to where my other weights were at on the other balance. It should. Okay, it's showing a ½ ounce. So this is the large one. Whoop, right there. Yeah, see, this is showing right in between those two. So I might be able to get away with one weight. Well, this is the two weights that I had on it. And this is one weight. And that's about identical. There's no markings on here for how much these weigh. That's a bad thing. As you can see, these are brass colored. I'm going to get the nickel plated, nickel colored ones, and I will replace these. But I'm going to try this where the machine tells me to put it and see if that'll balance it. I'd much rather just have one weight on it than two anyway. Looks like it's this one right here. Okay. So let's try it again. Looks like it's still got a ½ ounce. Let's see where that's at. Right there. See, that's directly opposite the other one. So we got a little bit too heavy of a weight on here. So let me take this off and I'll put this other one back on. Maybe I just had on a static balance, maybe I just had it in the wrong location and that's why I had to have two weights on it. So maybe this one weight is all it requires. Because like I say, this was 180 degrees from it. It's showing it needs more weight. So let's try this. There we go. That's all it was. So now we got a perfect balance with less weight by doing it with the machine. I like that. Let's try it again. See if it'll do it again. Yep. Wow, I'm very pleased with that. So now I have less weight on my wheel and it's balanced perfectly. All right, I just wanted to show you these spacers that I have on here. There's the tapered one that fits down in there and holds the wheel. The rest of these are just taking up the gap all the way out. to this handle I made, and then this lock nut that comes with it. And on the other side in here is that tapered cone going into the bearing to hold it in as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take the wheel back off. It's got to pull these back. It's got pretty strong springs on it. And then I want to roll this around. I want to take this tape off. This weight I put on here was directly in between these two. So I think this is going to be a lot more accurate myself. All right, let's take this off. The handle. And then all these just slide out. Then we can slide our wheel off. And then the last cone. I can show you, this is the way I had it, like this, where those cones fit inside the bearing to hold it in place. And I wanted to point out too that you have to make sure that this is level and flat so it doesn't rock and things to get a good accurate measurement. As you can see, I had to shove some stuff in there in order to get it to where it was nice and flat. I don't know if it's my floor or if this is bent a little bit, but I need to. There's holes on both sides there, and there's mounting holes here. I'm gonna probably get some wood or some metal to put it underneath there. I want this portable, so I'm not gonna put a lot in there, but I may put something in there to help steady this machine whenever I do balancing. Well, what do you think? I'm pretty impressed with it. I think it did a great job. I can't wait to get my bike out and take it down the road, and we'll see how it does, but I think it's going to do fine. The static balance was basically the same as this one, but I think this one topped it just a little bit more, made it better, because I only have one weight on it instead of two, and I had two weights like this, and it put one right in the middle of that. I did away with the two, and I have one, so I'm very, very pleased with that. It's balanced good. The machine did really good. Oh, I'm really happy about that, because this was quite a bit of investment, really, like $200. But I think it's worth it because I got a lot of wheels to do, and I'm going to be doing them on my Goldwing and whatever else. I got another project, another bike I'm thinking about picking up here pretty soon. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully it was helpful to you. Now we know how to use the machine. We know how this works, and we know that it does work. That's the main thing. So anyway, I'll leave a link in the description for the machine and for the adapter for motorcycle wheels in case you're interested. And if you want to, go ahead and get you one. Anyway, I appreciate you coming along watching, and I'll see you on the next one.